Hey you guys, and welcome back to my channel. So I hope you guys had a very Merry Christmas and that it was absolutely wonderful. I definitely had a really great one, and it was just nice to be able to spend time with family and relax. So definitely enjoyed mine. Now it is time for the new year. So of course I'm coming out with the New Year's Eve looks. I absolutely love how this one turned out with the deep lip and the really bright shimmer in the inner corner. So I definitely can't wait for you guys to see the video and how I accomplished this. Definitely a very easy look to do. I know a little bit of a different background. I just really hope that the lighting is okay. I did a little bit of a test video and it looked alright, so I just hope that it stays good lighting, especially because the sun has now gone down. I'm sitting right here next to my slider door, but I'm sitting in my living room just because Jason and I kind of redid our living room a little bit. We got some gift cards to go house shopping, so we got some new curtains and a rug, and I'm just, the way we rearranged our living room is just so cozy, and I'm so in love with it and did not want to leave. So I knew I had to film a video, so I figured I would set it up in here and just stay nice and cozy and in my element. So I absolutely loved it, especially because you can still see the Christmas tree behind me and my mirror. It's almost time to take it down. I'm so sad. I just love having Christmas decor up in my house. So definitely a little change of scenery, but I don't know, kind of liking it, a little different. As always, don't forget to subscribe down below to my channel if you guys want to see more of my videos, and also don't forget to hit the little post notification bell down below so that you do get notified every time I do upload one. So if you guys want to see how I achieved this glamorous New Year's Eve look, then just keep watching. Alright you guys, so I figured I would do like a talk through one this time instead of doing like filming it and doing a voiceover. So I really hope there's not a lot of background noise, especially because I am in my living room. I have all three of my babies out here with me, and of course we have like fans and air filters and ACs, so hopefully it is not too much background noise for this. So fingers crossed. I hope this turns out good. I hope the lighting looks good. So let's do our makeup. So I'm going to start off by taking this Too Faced Born This Way multi-use sculpting concealer. So I'm going to use this to prime my eyelids with. So I recently have been trying this concealer out. I'm not 100% sure how I feel about it yet, just because I feel like my under eyes have been cracking really bad, and I don't know if that's just because I haven't been using the best of skincare here recently, because I've just been like trying some drugstore ones, and I just have super sensitive skin, and I just think it is not agreeing with what I've been trying. So maybe it's my skincare, or maybe, I don't know, or maybe it's the concealer, but I do feel like underneath my eyes has been cracking quite a bit. So I don't know, maybe today I'll try putting the concealer first and then the foundation and see, you know, what it is. But I definitely don't want to say if I hate or love this yet, because I just, right now I'm not really caring for it. And of course it's the only concealer I have like high end right now, because I've really been wanting a good one, because I feel like sometimes my drugstore ones just aren't giving me coverage that I want. Like, I love them, but I just have been wanting more coverage. So I don't know. I'll keep you guys informed. So next I'm going to be taking my Essence Brighten Up Banana powder, and I'm just going to use this to set my lids with, just so my eyeshadows have a nice base to blend on, and just so that concealer isn't so sticky. So for this look, I'm going to be going into my Morphe and Jaclyn Hill palette. This palette is very loved. It is so dirty, and so many of the shades are starting to hit pan, but this is just such a favorite palette of mine, and I feel like every single time I get ready to do a look, I feel like this palette has everything I need. So I'm always reaching for this palette, so this is what we are going to be using today for our eye look. So starting off in this palette, I'm going to go in with this shade right here, just to use as our transition shade. And I'm just going to take that on a Morphe M513. I'm going to bring building this up just a little bit, just grazing my eyebrow bone. Just kind of softly diffusing it into there. And as I start to lose the product on my brush, because you can see I'm building it up on this outer corner, I start to take it into my inner corner once the product starts to come off of the brush. So next I'm going to be going in with this medium brown shade right here, and I love that it has a little bit of a reddish undertone to it, so I'm going to go in with that one, and I'm going to be using my Morphe M433, and I'm using this one because it's still fluffy, but it's just a little bit more precise. So I'm going to go in with that shade, and I'm going to start by adding it mostly on this outer corner, so I'm just kind of tapping it in, building it up a little bit, and then just start feathering it into our crease. So next I'm going to be going in with this deeper brown shade right here. So this is the one that we just used, so you can see that it is more of that medium brown with the red undertones. So we're going in with this one, and I love how dark it is, but it still has a little bit of those red tones in it. So I'm going to go in with this Luxie brush, and this is the 121 Mini Tapered. So I like how tiny it is, just to really get into that outer corner. So taking that shade, I'm going to get a little bit on my brush. And then I'm just really going to focus it right in here. Very light movements, start to blend it in to our other shade that we just used. And I'm using very light and quick movements just to kind of blend it in there, just because I don't want this shade to be harsh, but I do want that outer corner darker. As I start to lose the product, I'm just going to start to lightly blend it in to our crease. Alright, so next going back in with our shade from earlier, I'm just going to go in with the same brush and just kind of blend the two together, just so there's not a line between them. Next, going back in with our transition shade that we used earlier, I'm just going to put that back in my crease just to kind of soften everything up. So next, going back in with our concealer, I'm just going to carve our inner crease to about our mid-eye out with some concealer so we can get ready to add a shimmer shade on top. So I just like to take a little bit and put it on the back of my hand and just kind of dip into that, just so I'm not dipping into the actual bottle. So going back into our palette, I'm going to go in with more of this champagne shimmer shade, and I'm just going to put this all over where we just put the concealer, just as a foundation before we put our loose pigmented glitter on top of it. I'm just going to take one of my flat brushes, and I already have the shimmer shade on it, and I'm just going to spray some MAC Fix Plus onto that. So next I'm just going to take my NYX Glitter Primer, and I'm just going to add a little bit of this on top of that shimmer shade that we just added. I'm just going to put a little bit on my hand and just kind of dip into it. I'm just going to take another flat brush and just kind of pat it on to my lid. So I went ahead and took this NYX Face and Body Glitter Brilliance, and this is in the shade GLI05 Gold. So this is what it looks like. I have a little bit in the cap right here, so I'm just going to take this before the glue dries, get it all over the brush, and then just pat it on that area. So I'm really just trying to build it up in this inner corner and then just kind of feather it out to here. So just like that. I honestly think that's enough because this stuff is pretty intense. So next, going back into our palette, I'm just gonna go in with our medium shade right here and just start to blend everything together. And then we'll go back in with our darker shade and add that to our outer corner once more. Alright, going back in with that deeper brown shade, I'm just going to tap that into our outer corner. As the product starts to come off, just kind of work it in. And then just taking a brush that we had just used with our medium brown shade, not adding any new product, I'm just going to take this and just kind of blend. So I definitely don't want to take away from the look too much, so I'm just going to take my Wet n Wild Mega Liner in the shade Black, and I'm just going to do a thin line of liner just to place our lashes on top of, just to kind of help make it look fuller and thicker. But I think our look is pretty dramatic to the point that I don't want to do any kind of wing liner and take away from it. So I'm just going to take this and do a tiny little line. For mascara, I'm going to be using my L'Oreal Voluminous Lash Paradise, and I'm just going to curl my lashes and then apply a small coat of this before we apply our false lashes. For lashes, I'm going to be using a pair of the Ardell Natural Multi-Pack, and these are in the Demi Wispies. These are definitely one of my favorite pairs of lashes by Ardell. I absolutely love how they flare out on the end and give you a little drama, but they're not too crazy or thick. I feel like they just give you the right amount of glam. So I'm going to be using a pair of these today. So for primers, I'm going to be using my Wet n Wild Rose 3-in-1 Primer Water. And then I'm also going to be using my Becca First Light Priming Filter Instant Complexion Refresher. So I absolutely love this stuff when I want more of that like glowy look, not so much perfectly matte, but just have a little glow to my skin. I will use this. So I feel like New Year's Eve, of course, is the perfect time to have a little bit of glow. So I'm going to apply both of these to my skin. Alright, so like I had mentioned earlier, I'm going to start off with doing my concealer first just to kind of see how it sits underneath my eyes. So once again, I'm using the Too Faced Born This Way Multi-Use Sculpting Concealer. So I'm just going to put a few dots underneath my eyes for this and then down my nose as well. I'm going to add a little bit right here too. And then just taking my sponge, just going to blend this all in. So for foundation, I'm using my NARS Natural Radiant Long Wearing Foundation, and this is one of my favorite foundations during the winter time. I definitely feel like I can't wear this during the summer just because it is a little bit more of a radiant foundation, and in the summer I definitely like matte just because of my oil. It's just easier on my skin and with sweating in just the hot summer months. So I definitely love this for when it's cooler out. I definitely think it lasts better on my skin, and it truly is just a beautiful foundation. I just love how it looks on me. So I'm just going to take a little bit and put a few pumps on the back of my hand, and honestly, like, this foundation, the littlest bit goes a long way. Like, you don't even have that much on the back of my hand, and this is probably going to be plenty of enough for my entire face. So just taking my sponge again, I'm just going to start to blend this into my skin. And I know it looks a little crazy just because I don't self-tan my face, so it's a little pale through here. So, but once it's all blended out, you'll see that it matches my neck perfectly. Definitely so far, it looks like applying the concealer first actually looks a lot better, and I just kind of blended my foundation into it. So really hope that I figured out the secret to my very bad fine lines. Alright, so now that we have our foundation on, I'm going to go back in with this Essence Brighten Up Banana Powder, and I'm going to add a little bit underneath my eyes to set our concealer. For face powder, I'm going to be taking my Airspun Loose Face Powder, and I have been going back and forth whether to use a brush or use my sponge. I really love both, but I feel like for this look, I'm just going to press some powder into a few areas. I'm not going to go too crazy. I feel like I'm more light-handed if I use the sponge than if I use my brush, so just lightly patting this into my skin. Alright, so next for contour, I'm going to go into my Kat Von D Shade and Light palette, and I'm going to go in with this middle shade right here. This is Shadow Play, and I absolutely love it as a contour shade, and just kind of carve that out ever so lightly. For bronzer, I'm going to be using my Hoola Bronzer by Benefit. Definitely one of my favorite go-to bronzers, and I'm going to be using my Morphe M523 to bronze with. For blush, I'm going to be going into my Anastasia Beverly Hills blush kit, and this is in the one Radiant. And I'm going to go in with this more mauvey brownish pink shade for our blush. I definitely love when I have darker looks on to use more of a darker blush and not so vibrant and pink. And I feel like this one gives a nice flush of the color, like it comes off a little bit more pinky on your cheeks, but I still love how warm it is. Like, I feel like it blends in with my bronzer very well, which I mean, I personally like. I like to look more bronzed and goldy than anything. So I'm going to go off camera really quick and do my brows just because I feel like I still take forever at them, and I feel like that's just a boring part to watch in my videos. So I'm going to go off and do that. So I'm going to be using my e.l.f. Ultra Precise Brow Pencil in the shade Neutral Brown. And then I'm going to fill my brows in with this CoverGirl Powder Pomade, and this is in the shade 705. It's just like a darker brown. And then I'm going to finish with my Catrice Eyebrow Filler Perfecting and Shaping Gel in the brown tint. So I'm going to go do those really quick, and I will be right back. Next, I'm going to be going into my Morphe Babe in Paradise palette. So I'm actually going to go in and mix this very first shade, which is a very vibrant, almost like pearly white highlight, with this more goldy champagne, and I'm just mixing them together just so it has a little bit more of a pop, just because of course it's New Year's Eve and you want more of a vibrant highlight. So that is what we're going to do. I'm going to be taking my Morphe M501 to highlight my cheekbones with. I'm going to do the same for underneath my brow bone, and I'm going to be using my Morphe M213 for that. So going back in, I'm going to go in with this medium brown tone shade that we used earlier, and on my Sigma Pencil E30, I'm just going to go ahead and smoke that out on my lower lash line. Taking our same L'Oreal mascara from earlier, I'm just going to apply a small coat to our lower lashes. Alright, so for our lip color today, I'm going to be using the Wet n Wild Mega Last Liquid Catsuit lipsticks, and this is in the shade Video Vixen. And in all honesty, I was going back and forth whether to do more of a deeper dark lip or a more like neutral mauvey red lip, and you know what, I ended up deciding to go with the darker one because it's New Year's Eve, it's still winter, you know, you get an excuse to be more dramatic, and I honestly feel like a deep lip does keep the dramatic look going, so I'm going to be using this one today. Alright you guys, so that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed, and definitely down below in the comments let me know if you plan on trying this look out. And I hope you guys have a very happy New Year's Eve, and a safe one at that, and an absolutely wonderful Happy New Year, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!